Though, like I said before, I'm not really much of a gamer girl, as I never really found myself having the time to play certain video games. However, the one video game that caught my attention, and one that I actually played a little bit, but never got to complete, was Fire Emblem Three Houses. I only got to play it at an old friend's house, as he happened to have it on the Switch, but unfortunately, we couldn't finish it because he and his family were moving to another place, so what can you do? However, I was able to watch some, I guess, videos or gameplays or walkthroughs of it, along with having like researched or looked up the game's lore and background history through either Wikipedia or the Fire Emblem Wiki or TV Tropes especially. But overall, I became intrigued by the cultural or even mythical and historical aspects of some of the characters, and even the settings of this particular game. And as a result, I felt inspired to create a video of my own. Though I'm surprised that Gaijin Goomba, along with some other YouTubers, haven't done a topic like this, as far as I know. But anyway, I think it's best that we get started, shall we? Now, let me start with the Black Eagles that Edelgard von Hresfelg leads. Though the name Black Eagles would make for a cool house name in itself, its name is significant in the case of Edelgard and her family. You see, in Norse mythology, Hresfelg, or Hresfelger as it's originally pronounced, was a Jotun, or frost giant for you Thor fans, who had the ability to transform into a large eagle and was said to have provided the wind itself using his wings. Hence why you can see the connection between Edelgard, her house, and her family name. Those who slither in the dark, or the Agarthans as they used to be called, are based on an ancient civilization that supposedly existed underneath the Earth's crust. Like its game counterpart, it was called Agartha, though I highly doubt that the real Agarthans were the genocidal supremacists like the ones from Fodlan. The real Agartha was also said to have been part of the Hollow Earth and is considerably popular when it comes to esoteric studies. Though personally, I'm not really sure if a hollow earth would exist. Though at least it's not the flat earth, which is just ridiculous. As for the Nabateans, which Rhea slash Saros, Seta slash Koki, Flame slash Sethleen, Indek, Maquil, and of course Sothis herself are descended from, they got their names from a real ethnic group that once existed in northern Arabia, who were also called the Nabateans, though their naming may have changed depending on the sources. Like their fictional counterpart, the real Nabateans once existed as a large independent civilization until they ended up losing their power by being forcibly annexed by Emperor Trajan in 106 CE. Kind of like how the Agarthans, with the help of Nemesis, end up destroying most of the Nabateans of Fodland, thus forcing many of them to hide themselves either through changing their identities or isolating themselves for the rest of their days, which is pretty sad if you think about it. And speaking of Seth, his original name, Keyhole, actually comes from the Irish figure Keyhole Greekenkos, who was the founder of the Fomorians, a group of hostile monsters who were said to have come from underneath the sea and earth before invading Ireland and waging war against both the first settlers and the Tuatha De Danann. And speaking of Irish mythology, Petra's kingdom Rigid, which was annexed into the Adrestian Empire as a vassal state by the Hresfelg family, comes from the name Rigid, which was the name of an Irish goddess. The same thing goes for Dagda, which is the continent that once invaded Poland and had a former political alliance with Bridget, as it too gets its name from an Irish god, namely the king of the Tuatha De Danann himself, Dagda. Though, ironically enough, Dagda is considered the father of Bridget, which the fictional archipelago gets its name from. Though it does get the question, what exact connection do the three house versions of Dagda and Bridget have. I mean, given that they have a similar source, though it could be just some weird coincidence. But then again, certain characters are able to have supports because of their respective homes having some kind of connection to each other. But who knows? As for Sothis, the supposed creator of Fodlan herself, the The name comes from the Greek word for Sopdet, which in turn is the Egyptian name for the star Sirius. Like Sothis, Sopdet was considered a goddess in the Egyptian pantheon and was conflated with the goddess Isis as a result of being connected to the Egyptian underworld as a psychopomp, like due to Isis's connection or marriage to the underworld god himself, Osiris. And that's basically all for my personal analysis of Fire Emblem Three Houses. Well, fun fact, I'm actually planning on doing a fanfic series focusing on it. It will, well, I mean, I don't want to spoil it too much, but let's just say it will mainly focus on the Verdant Wind slash Silver Snow route, with elements of Azure Moon and Crimson Flower in it, along with having taken place after the events of Sintered Shadows for added measure. What will happen in my story is a bit of a spoiler, so keep that in mind.